We're just back from finalising the top 10 bikes for the 2017 What Mountain Bike Trail Bike of the Year. We took a van on Brittany Ferries out to the mountains near Madrid and rode with Blacktown Trails just to nail down what we reckon are the best trail bikes for 2017. Santa Cruz are possibly one of the most visible bike brands out there at the moment. Whether it's Josh Bryceland dicking about on a Nomad or Greg Minnaar ripping up the downhill tracks on a V10. That's not to say that they don't have great trail bikes in their range as well, and the 5010 is one of those bikes. This year they sent us the 5010 Alloy R1 AM, which comes in at £3,100. The 5010 is a 130mm trail bike based around the VPP or Virtual Pivot Point suspension system that Santa Cruz have been using for many years on their bikes. As you'd expect from Santa Cruz, the bike isn't the best value for money in the test. However, they have clearly put some thought into the specking of this bike, and there's no obvious real negatives in that spec list. There are a few items which, although cheap, actually stood out as being great. For example, the Fox Rhythm Fork really surprised us. It's at the bottom of Fox's range, but somehow felt better than many of the other Fox forks in this test. It's based around a 34mm stanchion, much like Fox's 34 fork, but has a cheaper chassis and cheaper damping, so how it actually feels better than some of the 34s on other test bikes, we just don't really know. We are trying to work it out though. The rest of the spec is dominated by SRAM and Raceface. There's a SRAM NX group set with a Raceface effect crank, there's SRAM level T brakes, and then there's a Raceface cockpit as well. On paper, for a £3,000 bike, the NX group set doesn't look great value for money. In reality though, its performance is pretty much up there with the more expensive 11-speed group sets. What you're missing is a little bit of that top end speed because the cassette, instead of being 10 to 42, is 11 to 42. It's not the be all and end all though. The nice thing about SRAM's 11-speed group sets though is that they're all interchangeable from NX all the way up to XX1. So when you do wear out that NX cassette, you could swap it in for the wider ranging 10 to 42 cassette, so long as you change the free hub body to go with it. The 5010 rolls on a set of wheels built with Novatec hubs and WTB I23 rims. They're tubeless ready, and I believe it comes tubeless out of the box as well. Tyres that are fitted, well, you get a nice aggressive Minion DHF on the front in 2.3 inch, and at the back you get a nice 2.25 inch Maxxis Crossmark tyre, which rolls really fast and is an improvement on the previous Crossmark. When we arranged this test, the R1 model of the 5010 was coming in at £3,000, with an additional £150 for the dropper post upgrade. Since completing the test, the price has risen to £3,100 plus an extra £200 for that dropper, bringing the total price to £3,300, which is above the original upper limit for the test.
While it's often their big bikes like the Nomad and the V10 that get the limelight with Santa Cruz, they've always produced some absolutely outstanding short travel bikes, and the 5010 Alloy is definitely one of them. For a start, they've taken the design of the alloy frame obviously very, very seriously. It's not just a cheap, affordable excuse that they haven't really cared about as much as the carbon bikes. Santa Cruz have always taken the approach that the alloy frames are going to be heavier, but what they're not going to be is any less stiff. And the overwhelming feel with the 5010 Alloy is it's a seriously muscular bike. With a quality tyre set coming set up tubeless as standard and a big set of bars on the front in 35mm diameter, there's a lot of feedback from the trail. You know exactly what is happening under your wheels, and you can use that to your advantage at every point in the ride. The geometry isn't radical, but it's really well balanced. It loves being forced hard into corners, and the Fox Rhythm 34 fork has been an absolute revelation this year. Theoretically, it's Fox's cheapest fork, but we absolutely love it. Every set we've ridden has blown us away. It's just the ultimate underdog fork. The VPP rear suspension is a really rewarding system if you're an aggressive rider too. It's not designed to be neutral and invisible, it's designed as an aid for you to go fast on the trail with. Yes, it'll occasionally hang up on big high-speed hits, and it's not as smooth when you're just cruising along as will some of the more neutral 4-bar or even single pivot linkages. But when you put the watts through, it digs hard and it pushes you forwards. And it's intuitive. The way it behaves is the way you would want the bike to behave in each situation. It's smoother when you want it to be, it's harder when you want it to be. And again, it doesn't take you long to understand that the bike is really trying to help you. You're a double act, you're a team. This is a bike that works with you to absolutely rip along the trails. And don't think you need much more travel than this. When it's done this well, 130mm is a lot to play with on the trail. And again, you know, choosing a name like Santa Cruz means you are going to take a hit in terms of specification But when the charisma is there, when the character is there, it's not just about the name on the frame. This is a really, really good bike, regardless what it says on that down tube.
Despite the fact that Santa Cruz clearly can't compete on price, it is a bike that can compete on the trail. The harder you push it, the better it gets, and it's certainly not a bike that feels like it's only got 130mm of travel. Carbon 5010s have always been popular with our testers, and it's great to see that the alloy version is no different. If you can look beyond individual spec choices, what you get is a great all-rounder of a bike that's capable on cross-country trails to even more aggressive ones as well.